Am I the asshole for not letting my step-sibling's family sleep in my room for a night? Okay, so for some background info. My father had me. My bio mother left. My father remarried a woman who already had 5 kids, all 20+ years older than me. My stepmother's family is an absolute nightmare, in the sense that they have a very different way of running the house. They have a hierarchy where the youngest sibling will always be the one that is stepped on. Their room will be the guest room if needed, their plate will be the disposable one, etc. Basically they are the doormat for everyone else's comfort. They also have a lot of family politics, but I won't get into that shitstorm rn. I live with my stepmother and father, and we've been having a whole lot of dinners lately. My stepmother loves having people over, catering, etc. My father isn't the biggest fan of it, as he's always the one entertaining and keeping everyone talking. I absolutely hate it, as I have severe social anxiety and just am a private person. It doesn't help that my stepsiblings don't really treat me as one of them, which definitely isn't helped by the age gap either. We have a relatively small house, with 3 bedrooms, one of those in the basement. This night, my stepbrother and his family, wife, 2 babies, 1 toddler, came over for dinner and decided to stay overnight. I really didn't want to give up my room, because 1. I hadn't cleaned it because the sleepover was impromptu, 2. I have many things in my room that are very attractive to a toddler, and I didn't want him messing with my stuff, and 3. I have pet gerbils and 2 fish tanks. I really didn't want the family messing with them. I thought this wouldn't be a problem, because my stepsiblings' family are all allergic to furry animals. I also would like to add, my stepbrother's wife spent some time outside my room talking with my stepmother, and she started getting a runny nose and sniffling. Just imagine what she would be like after a whole night in my room, and we could have figured out a sleeping plan. I specifically asked my father to please discuss it with them and ask them to sleep in a different room. Well, this pissed them off big time. They got super indignant that I wasn't giving up my room, saying that since I was the new youngest in their family, my room should be the one offered, even if they were to say no. They said that they felt disrespected and pushed out of their own mother's house, and they gathered their things and left immediately. This didn't faze my stepmother too much, as she knew I was uncomfortable having people in my room. She didn't say anything to them though, keeping a neutral ground. I feel like shit, and even though my father tells me that my stepmother's family is just like that, I'm starting to wonder if I am the one in the wrong. Please let me know, and if I am, some tips on how to fix this disconnect. Too long did not read. Told my stepbrother's family I don't want them sleeping in my room when there is another one available. They left angrily and called me disrespectful. Edit. I also changed up positions and other identifiable stuff, so if you see an inconsistency, let me know. Not the asshole. They are the ones in the wrong, not you. They are the ones who threw a fit when they didn't get their way, not you. Plus, who wants to give up their room with all their personal belongings in it to people with small children? They absolutely get into everything and parents rarely watch them. Additionally, you said that they don't treat you like a member of the family. That's not okay. I think it's sad that your dad let them treat you like that, but in my experience the vast majority of men in his situation don't want to cause a fuss with their wife, stepchild either, so he certainly is not alone there. I think you should consider this a boundary you have established. Keep it in place. And don't let them treat you like crap. Not the asshole. They are the ones in the wrong here because they are throwing a fit. Not the asshole, they're hypocrites if they don't treat you like family but try to impose family tradition on you. Plus it's cool that your stepmom didn't try to force anything. She might not have said anything to prevent it becoming a worse situation, but she still supported you. Not the asshole. You're not the youngest child. You're the only child of your parents. That the woman your father married had children beforehand does not place some sort of obligation on you to be a doormat. If they agreed that dynamic among themselves, that's their problem to sort out. Nope. It's your room. The person who lives in it. With the furry creatures that his wife is allergic to. They can sleep in the other room, or on the sofa. F them. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for kicking my mom out of my house? I, F36, married with 2 kids, F8, M5, live with my mom, F73, since 5 years ago. She didn't want to live alone and for money reasons. These past 5 years have been awful. My mom doesn't like my husband, M41, and she lets him know. She'd make dismissive comments, cook for everyone and leave nothing for him, badmouth him with neighbors and family. The relationship between my husband and myself is not perfect at all. But when it comes to my mom, he is polite and doesn't pay attention to the things she does. He says we should honor our parents no matter what. My mom is not great either with the kids. My husband and I work full-time so she stays home with them. I know she's no longer 20. I've offered her multiple times to hire someone to help her out with the kids, someone who would also clean, but she refuses. She doesn't trust anyone. She asked me to pay her to babysit instead of hiring someone, so that's what I do. But she is not attentive to the kids. Last month alone, she made them skip 3 meals because she didn't think they were hungry. I arrived home after work and the kids hadn't had lunch. I'm not a patient person. We always fight about those issues, we yell at each other and my husband mediates. Things got worse 2 years ago when my husband and I converted to a faith different than hers. My mom's very religious, she thinks she's the only one who holds the truth. When I'm home, she plays videos at a very high volume, with sermons she thinks apply to me. She believes I'll change my erroneous ways if I hear a religious old man screaming on YouTube. I asked her though, multiple times, not to talk religion to the kids. I want them to make their own choice when they grow up. The conflict started 'cause I found out through my daughter that she's been indoctrinating the kids into her religion for months. She told my 8-year-old daughter that I had a demon in me and that I couldn't be trusted. My daughter told me that my mom prays for them to be punished by God 'cause punishment means love, and that my daughter should not tell me any of this 'cause I'd kick my mom out of the house. She told my 8-year-old that if I do kick her out, it would be her fault. My daughter was conflicted. She loves her grandma but she also loves me and didn't understand what was happening. When I found out 2 weeks ago, I lost it. I called my husband and he was furious too. It was the first time I saw him that angry at her. We talked calmly to her though and asked her to leave. I told her to ask her church for a housing solution, that I didn't want her in my home. But now, the anger has passed and I feel horrible. She's 73 after all. It feels like I'm abandoning her during her old days, when she needs me the most. She does not have any source of revenue. I pay for everything she needs. But she's still convinced that she's right, that I have demons and that she did the right thing. She's leaving next week God knows where and I feel like a piece of shit. Am I the asshole? Let me say this kindly. Your mom reaped the consequences of her behavior. She knew she was wrong so she tried to get your daughter to hide it from you. She is using your children as a weapon. Your mom is a mass manipulator. If you're not going to protect yourself, do it for your kids. Kick her out. God will protect her, or punish her, but punishment means love, so she'll be all set. Not the asshole. It's your mother or your kids, and they're not the ones creating the problem. Good on you for asking your mother to leave. It's probably one of the hardest things you've done. But please know that she had more than sufficient time and notice from you to change her actions. She refused, and your escalation is perfectly reasonable. Not the asshole. Your mum is undermining you in your own house, disrespecting you husband and abusing the kids, by not feeding them, then saying hateful things to them. On top of that you pay for everything and yet she wants paying for babysitting. Seriously. Edit. Comments. NTA, you gotta get rid of the guilt. There's an industry of propaganda, grifters, bigots, and fascists who prey on those who are religiously inclined. They buy this stuff hook, line, and sinker. Supporting some of the most vile ideas around. Not the asshole. You are in the tough spot. She is clearly in the wrong, but kicking out mother who is 73 and has nowhere to go is not easy. The problem is that she still thinks she is right and will not change. At this stage it is very toxic environment for your kids and you need to look after them. At the end of the day your mother has a choice. Become at least civil in your household or leave. Your kids do not have that choice. There is no good choices in your situation. You are choosing the least bad. Unfortunately it is your mother who put you in this situation. Am I the asshole for leaving after he continuously told me to look at his dog? I don't know how to explain this without people coming for my throat, but I will try my best. I am simply not an individual who wants to focus on what a dog is doing all the time. I don't think that everything a dog does is cute or funny. I respect that some people are definitely the complete opposite and I never give people a hard time about it. I am simply just not that person. My husband is that person though. We have a dog, 2-year-old corgi mix, and absolutely everything she does is just downright adorable, hilarious to my husband. Even her laying normal and looking out the window is something he will start laughing over and telling me to stop what I'm doing to watch her. It doesn't matter what I'm doing honestly, he truly doesn't care. Reading a book, writing, drawing, cooking, doing the dishes, mopping, taking the garbage out, laundry, working, etc. He will 100% say, "Babe, come look at the dog, quick," and she will quite literally not be doing anything at all but sitting there. I don't see the amusement. I don't see it as adorable. Maybe I'm broken, who knows? I love the dog. I simply just don't think everything she does warrants my complete undivided attention. I've tried explaining this to him so many times that I'm honestly just ridiculously tired of having the repeated conversation. He continues to ask me to stop what I'm doing to watch her while he's laughing hysterically regardless of these conversations. It's becoming quite exhausting, to be honest. So I was on the porch in my hammock and reading my book. He comes out per usual and said, "Babe, quick, come look at the doggo." I will admit that even hearing this kind of set me off because I'm trying to read and I know for a fact she was probably doing nothing. I go in anyways and I was correct. She wasn't doing anything. So I just kind of deadpan my husband and say, "What exactly is she doing that I had to stop reading for?" He says something about how she was covering her face or something and it was funny, but she apparently stopped. So I said, "Okay, well, I'm reading now, so." And I walk back outside. Not even 15 minutes later he comes back out and says, "Quick, hurry. She's doing it again." I honestly didn't even say anything to him. I just put my shoes on, grabbed my keys and left. I'm currently sitting at the park, reading my book. Or I was trying. But now I'm conflicted because he texted me saying that I have made him feel like shit for trying to share his joy with me and that he doesn't understand why I can't even pretend to be amused for his sake. A part of me knows he's right because I could at least pretend to find it amusing like he does, but it's so frequent at this point in life. I am tired of being interrupted in general to watch a dog do absolutely nothing. I'm tired of feeling like my life has to be revolved around a dog doing nothing and I don't want to mentally strain myself pretending I understand the hype. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Surely he has a goddamn smartphone with a camera, right? I get it. My dogs crack me up doing literally nothing. My phone is full of ridiculous photos of them staring out the window. It is what it is. But I don't need to divert my loved ones away from their preferred activity just to force them to stare at a dog with its head tilted quizzically to the side. I'll turn it into a reaction meme and send it to my spouse, kids when they're doing something goofy and least expect it. Not the asshole. Just tell him to take a picture to show you later or something. This isn't about the dog. You're not into it and have said so, clearly multiple times. It's no longer about the dog shenanigans. This is about the interruption. He's jealous that you have hobbies and things that occupy you that aren't him and his dog. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your husband sees you as an object he acquired to be an accessory to his amazing life. You are not a person to him. Please examine your relationship and see how many compromises you've made to be his enthralled audience. Then decide if you want to spend the rest of your life like this. How did you guys even end up together? It's not wrong to want to enjoy your book uninterrupted, but you do sound like an absolute fun sucker leaving the house over this? Are you guys that unable to communicate and compromise? Am I the asshole for refusing to attend my half-sister's wedding with my grandparents? There's some backstory here to explain some stuff that I need to get out of the way first. My mom was married before my dad had my half-sister Sarah. When Sarah was 2, her dad cheated on mom and mom divorced him. When Sarah was 4, mom met my dad and they got married when she was 5. Sarah's dad was angry that my mom moved on and was an ass to my dad. He tried to interfere in my parents' relationship and then he came between Sarah and my dad. It worked and Sarah would reject my dad, call him names and say her dad was better than him. My mom put Sarah into therapy, took Sarah's dad to court to try and end his alienation of my dad. The courts gave my mom primary custody, but Sarah still saw her dad every other weekend and he still got like a month with her in the summer. Sarah and my dad's relationship improved a little, but summers were never a great time. Sarah was 9 when I was born. Almost 11 when her dad died. That ended all progress between my dad and Sarah. She went back to calling him names and rejecting him. She hated him so much that she hated me too, and she was either a jerk to me or she'd ignore me. Mom already had Sarah in therapy to help her cope with the loss of her dad, but she also added therapy for the two of them to try and figure out if she could do anything to help her and my dad's relationship. Mom ended up telling Sarah the truth behind the divorce with the help of a therapist when she became a teenager, and nothing had changed with how she felt about my dad. Sarah told Mom he was still her dad and my dad was an asshole. Sarah still loved Mom and they were generally close. But when Sarah was graduating from high school, she insisted that my dad was not welcome. Mom told Sarah that she loved her, but she couldn't treat my dad like crap and couldn't expect her to leave him behind all the time. Sarah told Mom it was Dad plus me or her. Mom said she wouldn't choose between us and there was a compromise somewhere surely. Sarah cut off Mom and hasn't spoken to her since. Neither have I. She stayed in touch with our shared grandparents. They were invited to her wedding, which is happening this month, and were given a +1 to bring along a family friend that Sarah was close with. They told my parents, and my parents and grandparents decided I should go in the friend's place. They say since I'm her brother and her issues are with my mom and dad, this could start to repair things between us. I heard them talk about it and told them I didn't want to go. My parents dismissed me, saying I'm 17 and still their kid, so of course I'm going. I told them no and thought they might listen. But it's being insisted on. Dad said not to let her hate for him come between us, and Mom said this is our chance to redevelop our relationship. I told her there was nothing to redevelop because we never had one. My parents begged and I refused to go. They and my grandparents are angry that I'm being so stubborn. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. You don't have to have a relationship with your sister, if neither of you wants it. Also, does your sister know you are supposed to come? Even though she behaved like an ass in the past, that was largely her dad's fault, and springing this on her wedding day is unfair. Not the asshole. You don't have a relationship with your sister and randomly showing up on her wedding day probably won't improve that. The +1 was not sent for you, and your parents and grandparents do not get the right to fill it with whoever they choose. I'd find somewhere else to be that weekend so you aren't taken along for the ride. Not the asshole. If you are being stubborn, so are they. You have very good reason not to attend, as she has treated both you and your dad very poorly. A wedding isn't necessarily a good place to start to heal a rift. Not the asshole. There's no point in you going to this wedding at all. Not the asshole. Just tell your parents and grandparents that they will make a bigger mistake by forcing you when you wasn't invited. How would she feel if they showed up with you right before her wedding? This isn't the time, nor should it be you reaching out like your parents and your grandparents want to do or have you do. She is the one that cut contact, wants nothing to do your family in the first place. If anything, it should be her reaching out.